Amade. Thank you very much, sir. We were with you yesterday. Please give him a round of applause. Appreciate you very much. With us also from the Africa Union Commission is none other than Commissioner, Her Excellency, Ambassador Minata Samata Sauma. She is the Commissioner for Health and Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development. Thank you very much, Madam, Your Excellency, for being here with us. We appreciate you very, very much. Of course, Madam, you were not here with us yesterday, but we were very well taken through by people on your table, your people from AACC, and I'd like to recognize in terms of giving a temporary office is really, really commendable. Senegal, of course, as well. We had talked about Senegal earlier. AU staff, thank you very much for being here and being a part of this. I even have friends from Ethiopia over there at the back. Thank you so much for being here. I'd also like to recognize, finally, just before I invite the first person to speak here, FEPASI. FEPASI are an integral part of this journey, and we do have the executive director here, Mr. Dramen Deme. Thank you very much. You will be speaking to us a little later on. We have partners, and one of the partners that has worked with us very, very much is Afri-Exim Bank. Mr. Temwa Gondwe is here. Thank you very much, Temwa, all the way from Malawi. Appreciate you. I think I've forgotten somebody. That's why my director is coming. Good. All right. Thank you. And then, yes, where was I? Thank you very much. And yes, and we also have, from the government of Kenya, we have foreign affairs represented here. Anyone from the foreign affairs, I believe, are here. Just put your hand up and wave, please. Oh, you're a very strong contingent. Thank you very much. Yes, because this is a foreign affairs thing, including all of Africa. Thank you very much for being here. So, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency and Bana PS, we also have other PSs in the house. One of the PS from Zimbabwe is none other than Mr. Nicholas Moyo, who led us very nicely yesterday. They're still permanent secretary. He's his permanent secretary, but there's a
shenanigan at the airport trying to get my ETA. Somebody just picked my eyeglasses and run with it. So, but I'll try my best. I'm a Burkinabe, we're very strong. All right. Distinguished guest, dear colleague filmmakers, brothers and sisters, it is my pleasure and privilege to partake in these historic moments as the Executive Director of the Pan-African Federation of Filmmakers, the FEPACI. This is a day of great accomplishment for our Continental Federation as it represents one major step towards making a dream come true. During the first Pan-African Cultural Festival that took place in Algiers, in Algeria, from July 21st to August 1st, 1969, the Cinémathèque Algérienne organized a symposium in which a group of African filmmakers were in attendance. It is during that symposium that those African filmmakers came up with the idea of creating what was to be known as the Pan-African Federation of Filmmakers. They immediately actualized the idea by setting up an interim executive board with the task of implementing the formal establishment of that continental organization through which they would speak to the states and government with one unified voice. A year later, during the Carthage Film Festival in Tunisia, they endorsed the official document that created the Pan-African Federation of Filmmakers, known as the FEPACI. Indeed, Tahar Sharia from Tunisia, Umar Uganda from Niger, Gadala Gubara from Sudan, Lionel Ngakane from South Africa, Ababakar Sammakharam from Senegal, Ousmane Sembène from Senegal, and Paulin Soumanou Vieira from both Benin and Senegal, all had the same dream of building the foundations of a potent African cinema and a vibrant film industry across the African continent and its diaspora. They dreamed of an African cinema which would offer a powerful and irrepressible voice to the peoples of Africa. They dreamed of a cinema of liberation. These were the first very true heroes in African film history, considering that every single film that they released was a victory and nothing short of a heroic act. Please join me in a moment of silence as we pay tribute to their respective memories. Thank you. Throughout the continent, FEPASI carried through its mission by helping create film festivals such as the FESPACO in Ouagadougou, Mokpafis in Mogadishu, and ZIFF in Zanzibar. While supporting many countries in their efforts to create and develop national cinema policies, the pioneers of FEPASI were joined in the filmmaking battle by some very talented and cogent filmmakers, such as Kwanzaa from Ghana, Mustafa Alassane from Niger, Ola Balogun from Nigeria, Suleiman Cissé from Mali, Jibril Diop Mambeti from Senegal, Safi Faye from Senegal, Haile Gerima from Ethiopia and the USA, Mohamed Habib Medoune Hondo, also known as Medondo from Mauritania and France, Gaston Caporet from Burkina Faso, Dani Kouyaté from Burkina Faso, Sarah Maldoror from Guadeloupe and France, Jane Murago Munene from Kenya, Fanta Nakro, Idrissa Ouedraogo, Kolo Sanu, Apolline Traoré, Pierre Yameogo, all from Burkina Faso, and many more. They all pursued the FEPASI dream after generations of African filmmakers followed suit. As time went by, African cinema stood out by its diversity. More and more, the need for a vibrant film industry across the continent became the driving force of our Continental Federation. Therefore, we developed more ambitious initiatives and projects which we could only bring to fruition through partnership with our governments and institutions such as the African Union, the African Development Bank, and AfricCin Bank. One such joint venture is the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission, the AACC, that we are all here to launch. The AACC is the outcome of a long process that started when the initiative was thought out by the FEPASI leadership during the tenure of Jacques Béhanzin of Benin as the Secretary General in 2001. Ms. Sepati Bulane Hopa from South Africa took over as Secretary General of FEPASI in 2006 and initiated the first engagement to discuss the AACC with the African Union in 2007. The project was later revived here in Kenya in 2015 when Nairobi hosted the Secretariat office with Sheikh Umar Sissoko from Mali as Secretary General and Ms. Jane Murago Munene as Executive Director. I must point out that the Secretariat of FEPASI in Nairobi operated successfully thanks to an endowment of $1 million per year for 4 years, an endowment that the government of Kenya generously offered FEPASI to continue its mission in Nairobi at the end of our tenure in South Africa. Collectively, I would say, the FEPASI team in Nairobi made an excellent job working diligently with the government of Kenya and Ms. Angela Martins and her staff at the African Union to ensure the establishment of the AACC. Jane Murago Munene continued to persuade the government of Kenya to fast-track the operationalization of the temporary secretariat and continue to work with the African Union team even after the secretariat relocated in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. As a prelude to the establishment of the AACC, the Nairobi Secretariat produced the Status of African Film Industry in AU Member States 2015 report. In addition to the AACC, it also designed 5 programs to support the development of the African film industry in production and funding, capacity building, scaling up distribution, along with the 5 regional centers of excellence across the continent. I commend Ms. Jane Muraga Munene for her resolve and her resilience. There was yeah, please. There was never an administrative handover between her and myself, her successor. As a matter of fact, it is only fair to say that communication was never officially established between Nairobi and Ouagadougou. Nevertheless, she never dropped the ball and relentlessly pursued the FEPASI dream. As a result, we are gathered today to partake in the launch of the Temporary Secretariat of the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission. That is a FEPASI victory. Many thanks to you, Ms. Jane Muraga Munene, and thank you very much, Ms. Angela Martins, for your unwavering support. Truth be told, FEPASI has been going through a severe leadership crisis over the past few years. Nevertheless, as you can all see, the FEPASI dream is still well alive. However, it goes without saying that our continental federation needs profound structural changes. It needs a total refoundation that fosters, at the highest level, a professional managerial approach which clearly defines the role and job description of each party involved. Obligation of result must be our rule of thumb, and there must be no exceptions. To ensure an operative implementation of such rigorous rules of engagement, we must see to it that all people working for the FEPASI be paid a decent salary. We must not rely on people's willingness to take it out of their free time to serve FEPASI. Last but not least, it is inconceivable that a continental organization like ours be subject to the will and vision of a single person. Any divergent views on the question of leadership and accountability are met with character assassination through unwarranted public shaming, among other tactics. That must change. In closing, this launch, and I repeat, is only the first step towards the realization of many gigantic FEPASI projects, working hand in hand with our partners. As a film educator, the establishment of 5 centers of excellence in our regions is one that I particularly cherish. I am also cognizant of the magnitude of the work ahead of us, but I am confident that the daughters and the sons of Africa will make the dreams of our pioneers come true. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Marademe. Thank you very much. Also thank you. Round of applause once again for him. Thank you, sir. You were so brutally honest, shall I say. But also, one thing he said, and I thought that all the filmmakers would be up on their feet and screaming and shouting and ululating. He said, this is a win for FEPASI. Filmmakers. George, you're just looking at me and a filmmaker. This is a win for FEPASI. Yeah, it's some excitement about that. It is a win, ladies and gentlemen. It is a win. I don't think you look convinced enough, eh? But the people who have really worked tirelessly since 2003 know that this has been a very long and dreary journey. But they've made it. And well done for Pasi, thank you very much. And now handing over to AACC. And of course, Bonasise will make sure that we do a great job with the support, of course, Her Excellency and the entire AUC and all the governments and member states that are here today. Thank you very much, Deme, for reminding us that. Hang in there. We move to the final step and make Africa, and have the Africa we want. That is what we're going towards, the Africa we want. Right? Agenda 2063. Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now, we shall be having a video showing you the journey immediately after our partner comes here to tell us something about why they've partnered with us in the creative industry, in the economy, the creative economy. He is a representative, of course, of the bank we love so much. Apart from the Africa Development Bank, we also believe very much in AfriExim Bank. They are partners in this event and other things that we're doing with AUC. Please welcome Mr. Temwa Gonde, all the way from Malawi. Karibu sir. You can give him an extended welcome as he comes on stage. An extended welcome. Thank you.
It is my great pleasure and honor to address this assembly today on behalf of the President and Chairman of the African Export-Import Bank, Professor Benedict Orama. He sends his cordial greetings and extends his best wishes for the Temporary Secretariat of the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission, AACC. For those who know him, creatives are very close to his heart, so he would have loved to have been here. But all the same, we'll give him the report that the event and that the AACC is up and running. The establishment of the AACC underscores our collective commitment to promoting Africa's rich audiovisual heritage and fostering the growth of our creative industries. AfriExim Bank fully supports this initiative, recognizing its significance in advancing intra-African trade and particularly cultural exchange. The audiovisual and cinema sector in Africa possesses immense potential. Our filmmakers, our producers, our actors, and storytellers have captivated global audiences with narratives that reflect our diversity, resilience, and creativity. However, to fully harness this potential, we must address critical challenges such as financing, distribution, and even hard and soft infrastructure. So, for us, the AACC brings us that hope. It represents a platform for fostering collaboration across borders, which is something that has been lacking for so many years in this industry. By facilitating co-productions, knowledge sharing, and market access, we can amplify the reach and impact of African content, both within our continent and on the global stage. In our discussions yesterday, I gave that example to say we are financing a production in Cairo, but the easiest, which had Mauritian actors, it was easier to get a Mauritian actor from France than it was to get a Mauritian actor from Mauritius. That should tell you the kind of challenges our sector is facing, and we hope that AACC is able to look across our borders and bring us together to address some of these challenges. So as we embark on this collective endeavor, let us remain steadfast in our determination to empower African creatives, celebrate our cultural heritage, and drive sustainable economic growth. Together, we can build a thriving audiovisual ecosystem that not only entertains, or that is not only a hobby for some, but also inspires, educates, and elevates our communities. A number of statistics were mentioned yesterday by our good professor. But one which stood out for me was the fact that the audiovisual industries account for $5 billion in terms of GDP, employing an estimated 5 million people, and have the potential to create 20 million jobs and generate 20 billion in revenues annually. I don't know about you, but I, for one, I want to see this being realized during our time or during my time. Our vision aligns with the Commission's vision to promote job creation, integration, solidarity, the respect of values, to foster peace and promote a positive image of Africa. We are committed as a bank to play this catalytic role. We understand the importance of access to finance, and that is why we are innovating even in our approach to providing financing. Through our Creative Africa Nexus program, we have prioritized the development of skills, providing artists with the resources and training they need to thrive in a rapidly changing and competitive industry. We support entrepreneurship, we invest in innovation, exploring new ideas or new avenues for artistic expression, and embracing digital technologies to amplify our creative voices. We discussed AI yesterday to a great extent, and I'm happy that, I don't know what was the conclusion, but what I got was that it's here to stay. All we need to do is to find a way to live with it and advance. So specifically for audio and the film sectors, as I mentioned yesterday, we have a bespoke film financing facility. We have we are in the process of operationalizing our film fund, and we also are putting forward equity and venture capital as instruments that can support the film and audio visual sector. Beyond financing, we are also looking at various incubator and accelerator programs. We have set up a script-to-screen accelerator program to address some of the skills gap. And we are also running a number of events which we believe provide a platform for buyers and sellers to come together in the bid to create a structured African audiovisual film sector. To this extent, we launched a competition celebrating Pan-African short films called the Canex Shorts at the Inter-African Trade Fair in 2023, where we received over 100 short films from Africa and the diaspora, and we look forward to receiving more submissions ahead of Canex Weekend 2024, which this year is taking place in Algiers between 16 and 19 October, which we are hosting, of course, in partnership with the African Union. Canex Weekend is an important platform, and we believe that as we hold it under the theme, One People United in Culture, Creating for the World, we will go beyond our respective national priorities and begin to look at ourselves as part of a global African family, leveraging on our uniqueness, leveraging on our connectiveness, leveraging on our heritage. So we look forward to welcoming you at this event. Yesterday, I also spoke about the Canex Creations Incorporated, which we have set up in Kigali. It will be officially launched by our president soon. It is an IP bank. Intellectual property has been a challenge for a long time on the continent, the monetization of intellectual property. We believe that if we can leverage our IP, we can monetize it, and at least we can leave behind our ideas in a form that can be sustainably consumed by those who will be here after us on this continent. So finally, we look forward to supporting the AACC. We look forward to supporting some of the initiatives that we've heard the AACC will champion, including the Audiovisual and Cinema Fund, the protection of intellectual property, because we firmly believe that Africa's creative and cultural industries hold tremendous promise in the continent's development, and look forward to continued collaborations with key stakeholders in this sector. We thank you and acknowledge all the
in Nairobi. He said some very important things, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I think Dr. Benedict Orama has put his money where his mouth is. Don't you think so? With this, you've told us about the carnet. This is the one this is the one, Mr. Temwa? That's correct, yes. So you will get the copy of this. Please, filmmakers, let's meet at Carnex, eh? Put in your submissions. Let's make this happen. This is something in conjunction with the AU, and we're quite excited that this is happening. He also talked about finance, distribution, and hard and soft infrastructure, and that is what they're proving that they can get involved in, and the amplification of the reach of African content. Now, he talked about Mauritius and that issue they had with actors. But you know one thing about, we have borders that keep holding us, in a place. But one thing about content is that it can cross a border very effortlessly. So we can already be connecting with one another through content, and that is why we are here at the AACC launch, because that is what we're pretending, that is what we want, and it is Africa that we do want. Thank you very much, Bonatema, for reminding us that, and for and take our thanks back to the chairman and tell him that we're really excited that this is happening and that you're putting your money where your mouth is. Ladies and gentlemen, very briefly, I'd like to bring your attention to the screen. This are the humble beginnings of AACC.
Audiovisual and Cinema Commission, AACC, from the capital city of Kenya, Nairobi. The setting is the Kenyatta International Conference Center. The characters in this story are the African Union member states and the African filmmakers. They strode in one by one from all corners of the African continent, 41 member states on count, with only one agenda in mind: the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission.
We have come from the north and the south, east and west. Oh, we have come as the storytellers, the griots of our times. We have come tall and short, fair and dark, small and big. We have come to say and assert that we are black and proud. Say it loud, I'm black and proud.
Indeed, but how did this story begin? We take you to Ouagadougou, the capital city of the Republic of Burkina Faso, the home of the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of Ouagadougou, FESPACO. and the Pan-African Federation of Filmmakers, FEPACI.
FEPACI was started way back in 1969, and for the longest time it was actually domiciled in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, and with a lot of support from the government of Burkina Faso.
As African countries started securing independence in the late 1950s and early 60s, there was need for Africans to find ways of organizing themselves. African leaders came together and formed the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in 1963. Buoyed by the wind of change taking place in Africa, a group of filmmakers led by Ousmane Sembene, who is recognized as the father of cinema in Africa, came together and started FEPACI in 1969. Immediately after, FESPACO was born. The main goal was to create a forum and a platform for Africans to tell their stories from their own perspective through film, and correct the narrative advanced by the colonialist that Africa was a land without history or culture. The government of Burkina Faso embraced these initiatives and started a tradition of welcoming and interacting with the filmmakers during FESPACO, as well as financing and participating in these events.
Une seconde fois, c'est la délégation chargée de la refonte du statut. Vous savez qu'à ce congrès, pendant la 15e édition du FESPACO, les cinéastes, toutes générations confondues, pays, langues, ont accepté de s'aborder, de revoir nos statuts et règlements qui ont été confectionnés il y a 30 années et qui ne répondent plus à l'Afrique à venir, qui ne répondent plus. Et les cinéastes ont accepté de faire ça. Nous avons arrêté des étapes de réflexion, nommé des délégués, des chargés de mission bénévoles qui vont maintenant se pencher sur ce travail.
In 2001, the then Secretary General Jacques Bionze and his team of board members pushed FEPACI's vision of strengthening its role of developing an audiovisual and cinema industry in Africa. The idea was an African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission and an African Film Fund. These two ideas were discussed in various fora with the African Union Commission, including the preparatory conference of the first Pan-African Cultural Congress of the African Union in December 2002 in Nairobi. In 2003, the decision to establish the AACC and Fund was made in Maputo, Mozambique. In 2006, FEPACI teamed up with the National Film and Video Foundation of South Africa and organized the African Film Summit.
Boom! The drum rang out from the west, and boom, boom, boom as it moved across Africa, headed south.
The summit brought together filmmakers from across Africa to deliberate on how to develop their industry. The outcome of the summit was captured in the Shwane Declaration, with emphasis on the establishment of the AACC and Fund. FEPACI members also made the decision to rotate the Federal Secretariat for the first time since 1969. The mantle of leading FEPACI was handed over to South Africa. In 2007, the Secretariat organized a meeting with the Department of Social Affairs of the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa to discuss the establishment of the AACC and Fund, among other agenda items. The meeting agreed to further engage by developing terms of reference for the task. The African Union Commission organized a meeting in Niamey, Niger, in August 2011 to review the preparations for the feasibility study for the establishment of the AACC and related matters regarding the cultural development sector.
In 2011, we met with FEPACI. We had already developed terms of reference for the feasibility study, and we had a contribution to make into the study. We couldn't undertake the study because FEPACI was also trying to raise resources to carry out the study.
In 2013, FEPASI held its 9th Congress in Pretoria, South Africa. The establishment of the AACC Fund remained a priority of filmmakers. The Federal Secretariat moved to Kenya.
Allow me to say one or two words concerning the journey we have traveled to be here today. As the FEPASI Eastern African Regional Secretary, I requested Kenya to consider hosting the FEPASI Secretariat that was then domiciled in South Africa. The then Minister of Information and Communication presented a cabinet memo to the government. In August 2012, the government approved hosting of the FEPASI Secretariat in Nairobi and also gave a grant of 84 million Kenya shillings annually for 4 years. And we say thank you. Today, we request the government to be our voice at the African Union, to help establish the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission and the African Film Fund to actualize the decision made in Maputo in 2003.
As a country, first of all, we admire the resolve of FEPASI. We have seen very determined secretariat, determined against all odds that things must work, and we really must commend you for that commitment. And as a country, we have committed to bring and revive the stock so that the Commission, which eventually will be supporting organizations like FEPASI, can adequately be funded and can adequately be supported through the African Union infrastructure.
We are billions of people, so when we stand up, we'll be counted. But we always forget the collective narrative of Africa and how important it is to the world. Our African narrative is the world narrative. The story of the world can only be told from Africa. So with those remarks, let me read His Excellency's speech. I'm honored to join you today as you launch the revamped Pan-African Federation of Filmmakers, FEPASI, Secretariat in Kenya. Your presence here is a clear illustration of Pan-Africanism, an ideology that all economic sectors must adhere to if we are to grow together as a continent, because our very unity is vital to economic, social, and political progress. I wish to restate that film is a powerful tool of development, and Africa must take advantage of this to tell her story, create employment, and keep the continent entertained. It is therefore my pleasure to officially launch the FEPASI Kenyan Secretariat. Thank you very much.
After the launch, the first item on the to-do list was the AACC Fund. The Secretariat in Nairobi requested for a meeting with the Commissioner of Social Affairs Department in Addis Ababa. The African Union Commission, Government of Kenya, and FEPASI met in April 2015.
We met again with FEPASI and we discussed the matter, and a decision was taken to move forward.
It was agreed that FEPASI will collate documents on the status of the industry and compile a report. They will also draft the AACC Fund statutes for discussion with the African Union Commissioner for Social Affairs. In July 2015, the workshop to review the report on the status of the African film industry was held in Nairobi. In keeping with the dictate of the Maputo decision of 2003, the delegates were drawn from member states, national associations, FESPACO, and MASA.
Je suis très honoré d'être présent, comme je dis, L'UMASA avait déjà essayé de faire un lien avec le cinéma et je pense que ça c'est une bonne opportunité pour nous de discuter puis de faire des décisions ensemble avec la FEPACI.
Et je représente à ce titre le FESPACO, le Festival panafricain du cinéma et de la télévision de Ouagadougou. Je voudrais juste traduire les sincères remerciements du FESPACO pour l'honneur qui lui a été fait par l'Union africaine et la FEPACI de l'associer à cette importante démarche qui certainement va sortir du cinéma africain de l'ornière.
I'd like to say that FEPACI is keen to see the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission established, because we believe that this decision that was taken in 2003 is long overdue and time is now.
The AUC is very pleased to collaborating with FEPACI and the government of Kenya in ensuring the development, promotion and contribution of the film sector to the continent's creative industry.
L'Union africaine a aussi compris que la culture est le fondement de notre humanité. L'agenda 2063 l'exprime fortement. Une autre expression est la décision de créer une commission africaine pour le cinéma et l'audiovisuel et un fonds africain pour le cinéma suite à un dossier introduit en 2003 par la FEPACI.
We have decried on many platforms that the story of Africa has not been well told. But may I ask, when we get the opportunity to tell the story ourselves, what kind of story do we tell about Africa?
The script of a new film, of a new Africa, is just starting to be written. Our history, faithfully handed down through song and story, forms the basis of our script. Our script. The Africa we want, creating employment and wealth through film.
What we found is that the whole question of intellectual property rights enforcement, we found that most member states from whom we could find data, they are struggling with this issue, how to deal with the whole question of piracy and so on. But we found that training is not quite standardized and the quality is not standardized, all the way from colleges to universities.
But I think there's a deeper problem that relates to how our governments regard culture, the significance they attach to culture. Culture is part of development, and development is part of culture.
La culture veut dire le peuple. Quand vous aimez votre peuple, vous aimez sa culture. Et vous remarquerez que dans tous les pays où le gouvernement aime leur peuple, ils aiment leur culture et ils la montrent.
Now, how do we position our own governments to understand that they can also succeed only when they consider culture as a medium through which they can engage their citizenry and have them come along with them to develop the countries?
This kind of reports should be encouraged. Whatever recommendations which are made there should be taken forward and implemented. So well done for having that report, and this should form a basis for your discussion.
The workshop would also review the draft statutes of the AACC Fund.
In Shwane, the filmmakers felt that this commission must be guided by cultural, moral, and economic imperatives. They said, for example, the commission should encourage or will encourage the enhancement of the positive image of Africa, of the African continent. Thus, the preservation of the African image and identity and heritage is paramount. We must promote self-sustainability and minimize dependency. So even as we set the AACC, we must find out, we must finance it ourselves. So all these are the things that the filmmakers felt and put in the Shwane Declaration, which was subsequently adopted by the Conference of Ministers of Culture.
Tout simplement parce que lorsqu'en 2000, on a décidé de mettre en service la mondialisation, la communauté internationale a dit nous devons
fait entrer l'Afrique dans l'économie mondiale.
So we are calling on those of you to contribute and say clearly what we are wanting to present to our principals. I want to go back to my principles and say to my minister, sir, we are moving. When you go to the heads of state, you are only going to talk, you want to talk film. Because that is what we've agreed here. You know, that's what we have to do. Each one of us in your own countries. That's your job.
With tasks well spelled out, it was all systems go. A round table of willing member states was formed. It was agreed that the delegates nominated to work with FEPASI would help in reviewing the documents via email. Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade closed the workshop.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, we have the pleasure to receive here, has been one of the big supporters of FEPASI for the subvention of the government, because we work with a team of Jane Munene during 6 months. We have many countries of Africa which are represented here to work about these 2 big projects we have, and we are honored because Kenya accepted to host these project in your country, and it's very fantastic.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I commend the member states represented here for coming to Nairobi to review baseline surveys on the status of the film industry in Africa and to consider the instruments that are necessary for the establishment